Well, good morning. This is Dave Jones with Storm Center Communications and GeoCollaborate. It is not a good morning for many people along the Louisiana coastline. What I feared last night when I went to bed, as did other meteorologists, including the National Hurricane Center meteorologists, were thinking that Ida was on the verge of rapid intensification. When I went to bed, 105-mile-per-hour winds. When I woke up, 140-mile-per-hour winds, and now 150-mile-per-hour winds. So as you can see, Ida is just about one of the strongest storms ever to hit southern Louisiana. This storm is going to go down in the history books. Let me explain what I have showing here on the screen. This is a combination of a couple of satellite channels from the NOAA GOES satellite. It's the visible satellite picture. I've put some enhancement on top of that visible satellite picture in the infrared. And then you're also seeing lightning strikes that are being detected from the same GOES satellite. It's phenomenal technology, one that we're still just the tip of the iceberg as far as learning. But let me turn off the enhancements here, just so you can see, and I'll turn off the lightning as well. You can see this thing spinning. Folks, this is what we call a buzz saw in the atmosphere. The winds are so strong around the center, nothing is going to survive, basically, the inner core eye wall as it passes through. There's going to be a massive amount of trees down. Southern Louisiana is more than 20 inches of rain above average. They're getting dumped on right now. They could see anywhere between 15 and 20 inches more of rain out of this hurricane. And there have already been numerous tornado warnings on the outside bands, on the bands out here that rotate in and rotate around. This is the quadrant right in here where you'll have a lot of tornadoes that could be spun off. Just look at this thing spinning around. It is an efficient heat engine, eating the heat off of the sea surface temperatures off the Gulf of Mexico, and it is creating a massive storm surge. We're seeing tides run up very, very rapidly here in this area, and the National Hurricane Center, 7 to 15-foot storm surges, not out of the question. So the levees in Plaquemines Parish are going to be put to the test. So are the levees in New Orleans, because as this storm moves up and in, this core of the hurricane is going to impact New Orleans. So let me show you GeoCollaborate and what it looks like right now. We have a map that's really lit up. Why is it lit up? It's because we use GeoCollaborate to provide information for the All Hazards Consortium so they can help with the movement of fleet utility vehicles that respond from around the country to come into disaster areas to restore power. And mutual assistance is underway. There are trucks coming in from all over the country to help Louisiana, to help Mississippi, perhaps even Tennessee and Alabama as they recover after this storm. And so the purple states are Federal Motor Carrier Services Administration waivers that have been issued. And the red states are states of emergency that have been declared by those governors. You might notice that New York and Connecticut and Rhode Island are red. That's because last weekend we were dealing with Henri. Remember Tropical Storm Henri that made landfall. So those states of emergency are still in effect until they expire. But I want to dive down here a little bit closer to the storm, and I'm going to turn off the colored states just so they don't get in the way of things that are that I'm going to be talking about here. So we'll turn those off and turn off Louisiana here. So you can see the radius of tropical storm force winds. Remember we talked yesterday about how these winds were going to expand. Well, look at this. Look at this. These winds are in yellow, are tropical storm force winds past Biloxi now, have engulfed New Orleans, and go well out here. So it's about 150 miles either side of the center, so a 300-mile diameter across the storm. And these are the core hurricane force winds that are making landfall. This storm is moving up this way. And folks, here's New Orleans right here. So it does look like the core of the winds, that eye wall, will come very, very close and impact downtown New Orleans. They may not see that inner core right before the eye, um, which is good, but they could see winds gusting to 140, 150 miles per hour as this storm moves to the north. We're going to be monitoring this very, very closely. Let me turn off the radius of maximum winds here, just so you can see for a moment the radar data. And this is the wind field analysis. I'll turn that off as well. You can see there is a distinct eye in this hurricane, and you see the radar data update. It updates in real time as GeoCollaborate gets it from the National Weather Service. And this is really the core of the winds. This yellow area right here. So Puma, Louisiana, Morgan City, Baton Rouge, and here's New Orleans. You are going to see almost maximum impact from this storm. If you're on the left-hand side of the storm, that's a little bit of a benefit, but if you're in the eye wall, there's really no benefit at all. I want to take you back and show you sort of an evolutionary satellite sequence. You can see last night, while most people were sleeping, just how this thing really took shape. So let's take a look at that. You can see it really started to take form yesterday, but the winds remained at 105 miles per hour. But overnight, it really started to develop that eye. The pressure bottomed out, and now you can see that sort of pinhole eye as the night lights illuminate the map, and then the sun comes back up today. Just a devastating hurricane is underway now in southern Louisiana, and we certainly pray for the folks that are down there, especially those who were not unable to evacuate. Just one other note too is that the amount of COVID cases is very high in Louisiana, and the hospitals are full with COVID patients. So it's going to be a real disaster after this storm passes through to get people treated and to the right hospitals. Or there are conference calls going on right now about how people might be able to get airlifted to hospitals that can treat them. I want to dive in a little bit closer here. It's called the GOES Meso analysis. It's talked about this yesterday. It's where the GOES satellite can zoom in on one sector of a storm, like a hurricane, and take images every minute. So I'm going to show you this satellite sequence, and I'm showing you a satellite channel. It's called the sandwich channel. It puts together the visible and the infrared data, but it's an image every minute. You can just see just the incredible meteorology going on around the center of this storm, which translates to unforgettable, life-altering destruction on the ground. Meteorologists don't want to see this happen. We do not want to see these kind of storms make landfall, but they're happening, and they're happening a little bit more frequently than they have happened in the past. Sea surface temperatures are so warm. But I want to show you this satellite loop. Look at this. This is the eye of the storm, and as a matter of fact, some multiple vortexes were detected going around the eye of the storm, and some of the research that Theodore Fujita, the professor that came up with the Fujita scale for tornadoes, and now we have the enhanced Fujita scale, thinks that that's where a lot of the big damage can come from within the eye wall of a hurricane when these mesovortices spin through. They're like having tornadoes spinning around in the eye. Let's watch this happen too, and I want to get a little bit closer in this storm as this starts to. That's just amazing. The orange area that you see. Let's zoom into this a little bit more so you can see that rotation around the eye. Every time you see it pulsate, come in and come out, they could be multiple vortexes that are rotating around that eye. And now it's certainly, the satellite presentation is impressive. The destruction that it's going to throw onto the land is not impressive. And we're hoping that everyone's hunkering down and staying safe. So That's what it looks like there. Now, remember yesterday I talked about we're going to monitor the radar. I'll go back here to GeoCollaborate just for a second. So here's the radar data on Ida right now. You can see it's updating again in real time. We're going to put this together in a loop and monitor this because it looks like the path is going to be this way. Matter of fact, I can put back on the official Hurricane Center forecast. And so it looks like the path is going to be to the west of New Orleans, to the west, as a Category 4 making landfall, then likely a 3 and a 2 by 7 p.m. tonight. At least that's the forecast. However, Hurricane Katrina went just to the east of New Orleans. And remember, I'll show you that radar loop. Here's Katrina. This is the angle that it took, more from a south to north, and then it started to curve a little bit, went just to the east of New Orleans, and it was dissipating from a Category 3 to a Category 2 hurricane. So being on the right-hand side of Ida, New Orleans is going to be in for a whole different experience from the wind forces. And so we're going to be monitoring that. I just wanted to let you know, because as we follow Ida as it makes landfall, we're going to be saving a lot of this data and information. Now, let me just pass beyond the landfall here for a moment. Because while Ida is going to decrease in intensity, expected to be a tropical storm by tomorrow morning over southwestern Mississippi, it's not going to stop dropping prolific amounts of rain. So we may have prolific amounts of rain as a tropical storm, so it's still going to be causing damage in this area. And let me just remind everyone once again, look how much wider the tropical storm force winds are than the cone. The cone of uncertainty is not to be interpreted as a damage path. It's only to be interpreted as a path where the center of the storm has a high likelihood of moving. It has nothing to do with damage, has nothing to do with whether you should evacuate if you're in the cone or not. Okay? The damage area can spread much further out. So as Ida moves inland, it's going to drop a ton of rain. Matter of fact, I'll turn back on the Weather Prediction Center's 1 to 7 day QPF forecast, and I'll change the transparency here. So you can see as the storm comes ashore, the rain that's expected to be dropped in this area is 7 inches. It's 7 inches of rain in this area, and then 10 to 15 inches of rain around New Orleans, with local amounts of perhaps 20 inches of rain. So this is going to cause massive amounts of flooding. There's no way the pumps in downtown New Orleans can keep up with it. You heard Jim Williams yesterday that it can handle an inch of rain in the first hour and then a half of an inch of rain per hour in subsequent hours. So I expect major flooding in New Orleans. I expect major flooding in Slidell and southern Mississippi, all the way to Baton Rouge. Lafayette, you're going to be very close to the cutoff as to where the really, really heavy rain falls. So you may see a couple of inches of rain, and you can thank your lucky stars if this storm inches just to the east of you. And then Jackson, Mississippi, all up through central Mississippi here, an amazing amount of rain is going to fall. Now, this is an area of 2.5 inches of rain, this outer area here. So between 2.5 and 5 inches of rain could fall in central Tennessee, where they had those big floods last weekend, where 17 inches of rain fell from thunderstorms. This is a different kind of storm headed for you, but it's going to drop a lot of rain. It could be more than 5 inches of rain locally in some areas. So this is the path that it's going to take. And then the forecast is for it to continue up and over Kentucky, West Virginia, and over the mid-Atlantic states. Those rainfall forecasts will be refined as the storm settles in on its path. This 7-day outer area is 1 inch. So anywhere inside here, we could see anywhere from 2 to 5 inches of rain over the next 7 days. Once again, we have not only a major hurricane, but a Category 4 hurricane in Ida, with winds of 150 miles per hour and gusts much higher than that. This is the area where it's most likely to have river flooding in red because of these prolific rainfall amounts. We'll keep you posted. I'll look at some other data. I may do another update this afternoon before the 5 o'clock advisory because it's going to be impacting New Orleans with some of the core of this storm. And I do want to put out a video update for this. So this is Dave Jones, Storm Center Communications and the Fleet Response Working Group. We have those waivers and advisories for transportation loaded into GeoCollaborate now, so all the utility trucks can access it and have that in their possession as they begin to respond when this storm passes through. And also, NOAA will likely be flying the coastline for damage in their King Air aircraft with their high-resolution cameras. So we should be able to get some high-resolution imagery on video updates over the next couple of days as well. So thanks for watching this update. We'll keep you updated throughout the day, and we'll talk to you a little bit later this afternoon. Be safe, be well, and take care of yourself. Thanks for watching.